what's working, what's not working, what needs attention, what can wait until next year. How will you set yourself up for this coming fall?
Hello and welcome to the Encourager Podcast, where we talk about real life and real systems so you can joyfully harmonize both home and work. I'm your host, Rebekah Scott. I'm a wife, mom, designer, coach, and lifelong systems thinker. And I help overwhelmed women build simple, sustainable rhythms that actually work for their real lives. Around here, we talk about priorities, pre-decisions, and practical tools that bring peace instead of pressure. Because you don't need more hustle, you need better systems and more grace. Today's episode is a good one.
Hello, encouragers. On this week's podcast, we're going to talk about what the month of August looks like and how this year we're going to treat it differently. Because when August rolls around, we naturally start to feel the shift. You know, like the summer fun is coming to an end, or at least you have the end of the list of what you wanted to accomplish or what you wanted to experience. Some of the routines are starting to return. You're like, okay, we got to have a little bit better bedtime routines or nighttime routines. And some of you, the majority of us, are quietly thinking, I need to get my life back together now. Like that was fun. But now I need to do a few things to get my life back together. But what I want us to focus on is the key is not to feed this pressure of I need to get my life back together. But I want to offer you some strategies, some peace, and some practical next steps that you can do to set your August up to be different while still enjoying the summer, but planning ahead a little bit. And of course, it's going to involve some practical things by asking yourself 4 key questions. Most women enter the fall by adding, right? We love it. We're going to add some stuff. We're back in our routines. We're going to accelerate until the end of the year. But I truly believe that wise women, which I know you are, we are going to enter the fall by evaluating. So I'd like to give yourself 1 hour for this. That might seem insane to give yourself a whole hour in the month of early August, but I want you to do it anyways. And here's why. It will set up the rest of your year for success while not feeling that pressure to get it all together, but feeling the peace you have because you have a strategy and you have a plan. So I want you to block in 1 hour after listening to this podcast, whenever that may be, in the next 5 to 7 days, block in 1 hour to ask yourself these 4 questions. And I am going to give you guys some examples so that it'll start feeding that brain a little bit so you don't have to start from scratch. Okay? Here are the first 4 questions. Number 1, what's working? So sit and journal about this. Maybe it's writing it down. Maybe it's just talking it out loud to yourself. But what is already working? And I want you to do this to acknowledge what God has already helped you build thus far. So some examples of what might be working in your family might be that the family dinner is happening more consistently. Maybe you really worked on your food system. Maybe your morning quiet time has become a habit. Like you've been really able to hold on to that and it's working. Maybe the kids have become more independent with their chores. Alleluia, high five. Share on our Instagram page how that is possible because we all want to know. Maybe date nights have started to improve your marriage. Maybe something that is working is your work system is finally running smoother because of maybe it's listening to the podcast. Something in your work system is definitely clicking. I want you to write that down. Maybe you've learned to say no to some things that aren't yours to carry. We talked about that a lot in some previous episodes, and maybe it's actually working. Maybe you're sleeping better than you did 6 months ago. Or maybe you've stopped comparing yourself to everyone online. Maybe you've had a slight cutback of your comparison factor. And maybe that's because you've limited your Instagram time or your Facebook time. So ask yourself, what is working? Or another way of saying it is what is producing peace? What is producing more fruits of the spirit? What is producing some energy or even some progress in the season right now? We're going to start with what's working. For me, myself, personally, what is working is really understanding my numbers. I'm debating writing a podcast about some of the awesome prompts I've been able to use to figure out my numbers so that they become really strong in my head and I'm able to work with them. And then another thing that's been really working this last season is the one-on-one coaching. I love seeing the individual results that I get in my clients, and that has just been really working. Question number 2, what's not working? Okay. Be careful. This is not about shame. It's simply noticing where the friction is. So please, that's the only thing you're going to take away is like, okay, where is there still some friction? Here are a few examples. Every morning feels rushed and chaotic, even in the summer. You're carrying the entire mental load of the entire household. Your calendar is overcommitted, even though it's the summer. You keep saying yes when you mean to say no. You're exhausted by Thursday every week. You're spending too much time on your phone. Maybe your business has no clear priorities, or maybe you haven't exercised in months. Those are just a few examples, but ask yourself what's not working. What would be some examples for your life? And you can ask yourself this question, another way of saying it: what feels really heavier than it should? Some examples for me right now: the girls' closet. My youngest 2 closet causes so much friction and so much fighting after laundry night that we have got to fix it. And I also knew that my Encourager website is not working. And so we're making some changes on that and switching whole platforms because it just was not delivering what I needed to do for my awesome listeners. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be rolling that out soon too.
Hey, Encouragers, hope you're enjoying this episode. We'll be right back after this short break. This episode of The Encourager is brought to you by Rebekah Scott Designs, where we create thoughtfully designed purses and accessories that support your real life, not just your outfit. Every bag is designed with intention, handcrafted right here in South Dakota, and built around the belief that beauty and function should work together. From custom fabrics and linings to leathers, zippers, and really cool features, you get to design a piece that truly fits your life. Visit designyourownbag.com to create your own custom bag and use code ENCOURAGER for $10 off your purchase.
Okay, question number 3. What needs attention? This is where wisdom starts choosing. You're going to start choosing what you need to pay attention to. Rather than taking it all in the fall, you're just going to pay attention to a few things. A few examples: a difficult conversation you've been avoiding because it's summer and you're going to have it in the fall. Well, what if you moved it up a little bit to iron out those kinks? Another example: your marriage needs a more intentional investment. You've noticed you've let things slide a little bit and you're like, no, we got to go back to being intentional. Maybe that's the honey huddle, everyone. Another example: a child needs more one-on-one attention. You're noticing the tantrums or the acting out are picking up. Maybe you just need some more one-on-one time. Maybe you have a business system that keeps breaking and you can't make progress because you haven't addressed it. Maybe your health appointments. Maybe you're letting them slide too much. Or your relationship with the Father needs to be more intentional or feels neglected because of the summer and just a little bit more loosey-goosey system. So ask yourself, if I ignored this for 6 more months, would it become a bigger problem? Whatever it is that needs attention, if you ignore it for 6 more months, would it become a bigger problem? So for me personally, I need to really think about some resources on people pleasing. So I've got some books that I need to really start downloading now to figure that out. And my mental bandwidth for this upcoming year, like, okay, I need to evaluate what is coming up in this year and what will need my attention more than what I know right now. For myself, asking myself this question, what needs attention? I need to pay a little bit more attention to my health as I age. I know that I'm exercising, but I've got some knee problems that are going on. And I need to evaluate if I need to have a doctor involved or how I'm going to pretty much try to solve the knee problem. And I'm also trying to find some books on people pleasing because sometimes it gets at a fever pitch and I've always ignored it because I didn't feel like I was. But now I'm wondering if that is part of some mistakes that I've made is because of my need to people please. So I'm going to be looking up some of that. Question number 4, what can wait until next year? This might be the most freeing of all of them. So that's why I put it last, because you're going to want to answer because you're like, yeah, that can wait. Okay, but we're going to put it last after we answer some of these other questions. Here are some examples of what might be able to be pushed until next year. Now remember, this is some examples, but I want you to ask this to yourself. Maybe it's remodeling a room. Maybe it's launching another business idea or just another different business plan. Maybe it's repainting the kitchen cabinets. I put that in there because that's me. I just want to repaint and start fresh every August and September. Maybe it's creating the perfect home organization system and your Amazon cart is full of all these new organizing tools. Guys, hold off. Hold off. Maybe it needs to wait. Maybe it's the new training for the marathon or the new workout program. Maybe in this season that actually needs to wait when you answer the first 3 questions. Okay. And maybe it's pausing, taking on one more leadership role. You know, in the fall, it's all the signups for all the different clubs and all the different volunteer opportunities. Hold on, pause. Maybe those need to wait after you ask yourself this question. Ask yourself, is this important or is it simply impatient on your behalf? That's it. Those are the 4 questions. I encourage you to block 1 hour of time to sit, reflect on these, maybe think of some of the examples if you're drawing a blank, but otherwise just sit and ask for yourself. A free time to just really evaluate these 4 questions. What's working? What's not working? What needs attention? What can wait until next year? If you sit and ask yourself these 4 questions, how will you set yourself up for the fall in a way less rushed way and a more wisdom-filled, intentional way so that you can filter out the things that you don't need for this coming fall? After answering these 4 questions, I have a little challenge for you, but it's a practical thing that you could do in the first 10 minutes after you have this awesome time to answer these questions, is you can do a little sorting activity. So come up with 3 piles, whether you do this digitally or you do it on paper, but it's like, here's what you're going to keep, here's what you're going to stop, here's what you're going to start, even if it's at 1%, and here's what you're going to delay. That is a simple way of taking those 4 questions into different categories. What are you going to keep? What are you going to stop? What are you going to start? And what are you going to delay? And just by taking it one step further, you're really practically applying it to your new year. And as always, please, you guys, share what you're keeping on our Encourager page. Share what you're delaying. That gives us all a little bit of permission. Share what you're going to start, even if it's at the 1%. It encourages all of us and gives us all ideas on what it is so that we can enter the fall with more wisdom and less sprinting, because then we just burn out by the end of September, quite frankly. So let's enter it with a little bit more wisdom, a little bit more practicality, and a whole lot more intention about what we want to see happening for what God is currently doing in our lives with the fall season coming. And if this seems overwhelming, one of my favorite things, I just mentioned it, is one-on-one coaching. So if these 4 questions, you get through it and you're like, I actually do need some help. I want to treat this year different. I want to finish in a different way. And I need somebody to hold my hand and to hold me accountable and to encourage me. I would love to stand next to you. You can book one-on-one coaching if you go to the website, theencouragerwebsite.com. Until next time, encouragers, we've got this because He's got us.
If this podcast has encouraged you or helped you in any way, I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe and leave a 5-star review. It truly helps more women find these conversations. And if you're listening thinking, I don't need more motivation, I need someone to help me figure out my actual life, that's exactly what I do. Through Encourager Academy and one-on-one coaching, I help women build personalized systems for their home, work, and life rhythms. No cookie-cutter routines, but structures that fit your unique personality, your season, and your capacity. You can explore the Academy or book a free discovery call at theencouragerpodcast.com. Let's take your next small step forward together.